Columbus Mayor Andrew Ginther tells me it's one of his main responsibilities, working to ensure the streets of the city are safe. Unfortunately, in some communities, violence is an issue that rages on. The key to solving it, he believes, city administrators, police, and people living in these neighborhoods working together.
And this is not the police's job to solve this problem. The community, everybody in this community has a role to play.
It's an issue that keeps him up at night. Young lives lost on city streets.
I mean, I'm not just the mayor, I'm a father. I've got a 12-year-old at home, and to think that young people as young as my daughter are either the victims or the perpetrators of crime is something that we all have to own up to.
Just Wednesday night, a 15-year-old, one of two people hurt in a shooting on the northeast side. A day before, a 14-year-old hit by a bullet in Wedgwood Village, a community plagued by crime. Teens have been at the center of some of the city's most high-profile incidents.
We can't police our way out of what we're seeing here. We've got to be more aggressive and innovative.
Ginther indicates the city has poured millions into programs aimed at addressing issues of crime, funding for community outreach groups, mentoring, job training, pointing out police brass also out in neighborhoods working to connect with communities across Columbus.
We're going to continue to do that. I've always said my top 3 priorities are neighborhoods, neighborhoods, neighborhoods.
Ginther stressing he understands the pushback from those demanding his office and officers do more, but hammers home the point it'll take a citywide effort to truly make a difference.
Parents have to step up. Faith leaders need to step up. Our nonprofit partners need to step up.
Not only did I discuss crime and violence with the mayor, but we broke down a number of topics, including growth and development in the city, his political plans for the future, and even the search for the new Ohio State University president. To check out the interview in full, head on over to our website. That's abc6onyourside.com. Rodney Dunigan, ABC 6 News.
Quick story, August 28th, 1963, I was 9 years old. I lived a stone's throw away from the Washington Monument. That day, all these people were in town, and we were protesting. So I followed them up to the Washington Monument, and that's the day Martin Luther King gave his I Had a Dream speech.
For Cornelius Green, it was a speech that changed the course of his life.
I think he gave me that strength to carry on. I used that and used him as my beacon of hope.
A shining light that would guide him going forward as he thrived in the classroom and on the football field as a highly touted high school recruit.
In the early 70s, a lot of African-American quarterbacks were going to universities, and once they got there, they would change them to a defensive back, and I didn't want that to happen to me.
It's been 50 years since Cornelius Green first walked onto campus at OSU. A kid taken in by the storied history of one of college football's greatest programs.
Going on all fall, that is my fault.
And one of the sport's greatest coaches.
Woody told me if I was good enough, I'll play, and if I wasn't, I wouldn't.
He had the confidence, but not the roadmap. At the time, not many had traveled his path.
You know, I didn't have a lot of African Americans to look up to because there wasn't any, you know, that was quarterbacking at the time.
Green admits none of it was easy. Year one, certainly rough, spending most of the season on the sidelines.
And so it was difficult. I was homesick. You know, it was tough playing for Coach Hayes, and he was a tough coach. So my freshman year, I played those three plays against North Carolina, and I was on the scout squad the whole year. So I didn't know what kind of future I was going to be having.
Things looked up the following year when he was named the starting quarterback. However, success on the field did not come without a few challenges off of it.
Once the word got out, I was the first African-American quarterback. I was receiving 50 letters a week from the Klan, and me and Archie would get death threat calls where they thought Archie was me, and they would let him have it. And so it was a frightening little time. But the good thing was that my white teammates loved me, and so that was a good experience for me to learn not to stereotype folk and really get to know folk for who they are. I was shocked. I thought I had selected the wrong school. You know, I knew I was going to be the first African-American quarterback. I didn't realize that was going to be happening to me, though.
When you talk about a quarterback, you're talking about the leader of the team. You're talking about oftentimes the person who's thought of as one of the smartest people on the team. Do you think that's part of what the hang-up was, as far as battling that hey, I'm smart enough, I'm a leader, I can lead
Well,
this?
I mean, even in 1972, I was getting calls that I wasn't smart enough to be a quarterback. You know, black folks wasn't smart enough to remember plays, and that's very embarrassing to say in 1972, but that was still going on.
The 1998 inductee into the OSU Athletics Hall of Fame, a true pioneer, leaving Columbus with a host of accolades. Rose Bowl MVP, Big Ten MVP, and a list of conference championships. But the impactful statement for Green, the legacy he's left behind. From Heisman Trophy winner Troy Smith to Terrell Pryor, Braxton Miller, J.T. Barrett, Cardell Jones, Dwayne Haskins, Justin Fields, and now C.J. Stroud. Some of the game's best young quarterbacks continuing to make history at Ohio State. Serving as a shining example, Green proud of them all, glad he was able to lay the footprint for what we see today and what the future could hold for Ohio State and the college game. 10 to 15 seconds. That's all it takes to become a viral sensation.
I love my kitty cat, yes I do. I love my kitty cat, oh I do.
Fun, creative, quirky.
Bark at your dog.
That's TikTok in a nutshell. Now you can add recruiting tool to the list.
But it's not just troopers. We're recruiting for dispatchers, motor vehicle inspectors, motor vehicle enforcement carriers, things of that nature. So we have all kinds of positions within the patrol that we're trying to recruit people for.
Lieutenant Nathan Dennis with the Ohio State Highway Patrol giving us a look at their latest unique push to bring in the next generation of troopers.
So we've really been looking at the age group between 18 and 34.
The idea behind it all is simple, helping troopers to better connect and engage with the community and sell the Highway Patrol all in seconds.
So far we've gotten a lot of great comments in regard to the TikTok account. We've been welcomed by the TikTok world.
Just this year, the governor announcing a pay raise and $5,000 retention bonuses for troopers and cadets. The hope is this social media effort will help to bring in more fresh talent as well. The patrol's TikTok account can be found at official OSHP. Rodney Dunigan, ABC 6 News. And of course, the two sides are at a roadblock in contract talks, and we could be just days away from a strike. Tonight, we're getting insight from the community, parents, and kids about the impact this could all have on the most important people in this fight, the students.
They need to sit down and resolve these issues for the betterment of our children and our community.
Nana Watson is not holding back.
I think the board needs to be proactive. If there's going to be a strike, what is the plan for our children?
The president of the Columbus branch of the NAACP fed up with the contract fight between Columbus City Schools and the district's teachers.
What is the district going to do should there be a strike to educate our children?
The union putting plans in place for a possible strike, an August 24th start date for school students in limbo. Watson believes so is the future for city kids, saying a strike would have a devastating impact on minority inner city kids.
We've experienced COVID for 2 years. The children are probably already behind. If they do this, it's going to put our children further behind.
With a strike looming, how are district administrators responding to our questions about how they plan to educate kids if teachers hit the picket line? Not on camera, instead releasing yet another press release, saying in part they're well prepared for an alternate opening, but they haven't detailed exactly what those plans are.
I thought that we were on the track of getting back to normal.
Parents like Princess Kumba with some real concerns. She's been working with city youth this summer. With 3 kids in the district, she fears after years of COVID disruptions, the school year will be another educational hurdle students will have to leap.
And a lot of kids, my kids included, kind of fell off academically when they were doing virtual school because you're kind of teaching yourself.
Kids we spoke with also troubled students citywide could be out of the school building once again.
It's been
rocky, really.
It will probably be hard because there are kids who really want to go back to school, really want to get back into learning.
Watson believes a push from the community and families may be needed to bring teachers and the board together.
They need to be more transparent and provide this community with the plan. They need to be really focused in on our children and the effects that it will have on our community should they decide to strike.
You never know what's like going through their head when they're doing it, if they just doing it for fun or doing it for attention because something might be going on at home.
A lot of questions tonight about why these local kids have been willing to risk it all.
We're digging deeper into this persistent issue plaguing our streets.
Tonight, Rodney Dunigan getting some vital insight from teens on the ground level.
It's a question that continues to grow louder in the community every day. What's leading kids to literally risk their lives and futures for a joyride in a stolen car for just a few hours? It's already had a deadly outcome this summer, and some fear that more lives could be lost.
This is awful, truly.
It's a harsh reality, but one Triandis Kelly and Dominic Woods have grown accustomed to.
It was little kids, 14 and under, out here stealing cars and going to juvenile just for the fun of it. Like it was nothing, like it was not a big deal, like it wasn't impacting their life.
Seeing kids in the community heading down the wrong path, a growing number behind the wheel of a stolen car.
In my head, I'm saying that's not good. That's not what you're supposed to be doing.
Just weeks ago, 2 teens killed in a crash involving a car that was ripped off.
Seeing kids die like that is very sad.
Hopefully other kids that's doing the same thing can see it as like a notice, like to stop or use it as a chance to see that what can happen to them.
Both teens saying a big part of the problem, many of the kids involved feel they don't have a better option. No positive outlook on life. No one who cares about their future.
Yeah, like when you're 30, like they're gonna look at everything. Like all of this follow you. You can never lose it. Like it's going to be with you for the rest of your life.
They know a lot of them, or they know.
Ralph Carter, one of those pushing to change that mindset.
I am them. I was one that was out here running around these streets and doing these things they're doing, just not in that manner.
The founder of We Are Linden trying to show kids there is a better way, stressing that quick thrill could have an impact for a lifetime.
They need more role models. They need people to look up to. And a lot of times it's not just talking and lecturing, it's just being, showing them by just your actions and what you're doing. And that's what I do with a lot of the kids now. They see what I'm doing and they want to be a part.
You know, I know you guys... Youngsters we spoke with say many of the kids involved in these crimes simply need someone to care.
Trust us, help us, give us the opportunity to change. Everybody isn't going to change at the same pace.
A number of community leaders like Carter are pushing to ensure that local kids have a positive outlet, staying away from the streets and out of trouble. The hope is to reach some of these kids before they make a deadly mistake. In Columbus, Rodney Dunigan reporting. Columbus city leaders have maintained a commitment to programs focused on safety, education, and life skills for kids across the city. We're looking deeper into those efforts and exactly how not only kids, but families are being impacted.
All right, good job, good job.
Yes, sir!
For Joe Thompson, it's a passion, a commitment to the community, pushing to make an impact in the lives of kids.
A lot of these kids don't have fathers out here. And so we have to play that part. I play that part.
Get you right
Most evenings you can find Thompson along with a host of volunteer coaches here at Mock Park, pouring love and support into members of the Ohio Ducks youth football team.
Oh, it's very, very important, Rodney.
The squad falling under the umbrella of the Legacy Youth Sports League. From football to educational programs, organizers say the nonprofit is impacting more than 3,400 kids citywide.
So we talk about truly expanding the minds of our youth here, what's out there in the world, things that they've seen on TV. Now they actually get a chance to go see it.
Dominic Jones is the founder of the league. Last year, the program given a $200,000 grant from the city council. Jones says the money has been a crucial benefit for the organization, from field maintenance and paying for referees to summer educational programming, family outreach, even organized college visits for the kids.
But we're here to say, hey, listen, we can introduce you to a lot of other things that you can ultimately still have the same successful life that you did, that you envisioned playing sports, even if you wasn't.
City administrators also tell us they have a number of checks and balances in place to ensure grant funding is being properly used. The Department of Neighborhoods conducts site visits, requires documentation of expenditures. Surveys are done with the youngsters who participate. Programs are also required to report overall outcomes.
Oh, Tony!
For the coaches and volunteers on the ground level, they're confident they're making a difference. Last year alone, the Columbus City Council invested more than $1.3 million into summer and youth violence prevention programs. The hope is that this work with these kids will help to create the next generation of leaders in the city and lead to a positive change in many families and communities that need it most. Rodney Dunigan reporting.
You and your officers, actually being out in communities like this, meeting folks as you try to deal with some of the crime in some of these areas.
Oh, it's important so the community knows that we care. It's one thing to come to a police run. It's another when our officers are present, going in the community, going to the schools that are in this area, walking the streets, being in the corridors of the apartment building. It makes the residents know that we're serious about protecting them.
And what sort of reaction do you get? Wedgwood here, we've covered several issues in this particular community. When they see you guys out here, what sort of reaction do you get from them?
The majority of the residents want us out here. There's a small pocket of people that are committing the crimes here. And so we're not here for them. We're here to let them know that we're here and we see them, but we're really here for the residents who just are day-to-day surviving. And so they have to know that when they give us a complaint, we take it seriously, which is why these guys are here every single day in this community trying to make it better.
When you see these crimes, a lot of times they involve kids. For you personally, how heartbreaking is that to see something like that?
It's very heartbreaking. So you have 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds that are being recruited for gangs. And so the adults who prey on these young children, they understand that a lot of them come from poverty. They come from behavior in their homes that are at risk, and so they prey on them and they use them, and then they become a victim, and then ultimately the system gets them. And so our goal is to stop that from happening.
And even a situation like that, the importance of kind of meeting people to get those tips when you go out in the community, how important is that to kind of have those relationships to potentially maybe get tips on cases like that?
It's extremely important. So when we got here, we heard from the community there was a disconnect, or at least a perception of a disconnect between the community and police. And since we've been here, we've really worked extremely hard to build that bridge. And I would say just with our homicide closure rate, the fact that we're getting so many tips from the community says that we're doing something right.
And speaking to that case in general, the Kodiak Drive, how heartbreaking is that for you as a police officer? You were there a year ago.
Absolutely.
Speaking of that, and just thinking that this family still has no closure.
Ooh, I will tell you, 26 years of doing this, that is a scene that you'll never forget. It's something that makes, as we talk about it, we get emotional, to know that 2 babies were slaughtered. It's what keeps me up at night. It's what keeps the chiefs up at night. We are committed to finding out who did this.
What do you want the community to know when you come out here and to kind of greet them? What do you want them to know about the work that you're doing in this community and communities across the city?
That we love them. It's as simple as that. We love them. We want to wrap our arms around them. We understand that there's a small minority, and I can't reference that enough. There's a small minority of people that are doing the criminal activity. The majority of citizens here are just trying to survive day to day. And so we want them to know that we understand that. We're committed to making this a safe place to live, work, and play, and we'll be out here until it is.
And the officers that you have out here with you today, I mean, they have a passion for the community. They want to see this community safe as well.
Absolutely. Sergeant Brophy is in charge of our CRT unit. They do a lot of enforcement here. They're here daily, and they're committed to making this a safe place. And so the residents overwhelmingly support them.
Mm-hmm. And when you see some of the things that go on in this community, it must be hard for you too, working on the ground level and to, see families impacted by some of the violence in this community.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think back to my career. I've been on the division for 27 years. And I first started in policing. I came out and did my coaching, and it was on this precinct in Wedgwood. Fast forward 27 years, and I've been outside in the West Side community for like the past 10. And you look at this place, and it is comprised of mostly good people that they just want a safe, secure place to live and raise their families. But unfortunately, it's, sometimes there's a significant amount of violence that has kind of like moved in and divulged into this community, and it's really kind of rough. And what we want to do is we want to separate that small group of individuals that prey so hard and heavily on just good honest people that just want to live peacefully and go about their lives. And so that's who we know we need to work with and for.
And I want to ask you all about see something, say something. A lot of times in these communities, folks know what's going on, but they aren't talking.
I would say that's why it's important that we have these relationships, like we have Zerka here. She's from this community, an advocate of telling residents that they can talk to us. A lot of times people feel like we don't care, and we're here to change that culture. We do care. Officers across this country care what happens in their communities because most of us are from these communities. We grew up in these areas, and so we're committed here. Sergeant Brophy doesn't have to be here. He chooses to commit to being here to make sure that Wedgwood is safe. And so I think we have to just keep telling citizens that, showing them, which we have. When we get tips, we make arrests. Could we do a better job of highlighting what we do? Cops don't like to pat ourselves on the back, but we probably could do a little bit better job of getting that out there.
And Zerka, I do want to ask you, obviously, we've talked to you a number of times. How does it feel to have, the officers, the assistant chief on the ground here really trying to make an impact in this community?
Excellent. I am so grateful for the partnership we have in Wedgwood since 2015. I think we have proven that partnership between the community organization and police department works excellent. We were able to really curb the violence from 17 shootings, 7 homicides, so 0 shooting and homicide for 16 months when we had a successful partnership before pandemic. And I'm super excited that now that the pandemic is over, we are back here. We had police chief here last week, Chief Parts is here, our Sergeant Lokai is back, he's back here. I am very, very excited. I think we have proven that different activities with police officers work. The youth here, they get excited when they see, and they get the confidence. The families get the confidence. See Something, Say Something campaign we did in 2017. We were so successful because we were able to tell the entire community, you don't have to be afraid of anything. You can call this. We have to educate them. So once we educated them, this is how you can call, nobody will know. And the criminals, they all have, they know what's going on. When they saw that the entire community is educated how to make a phone call anonymously, nobody is gonna tell. Because many of these families, especially young people, are scared for their siblings, for their families, if there is retaliation, if somebody knows that, who was the one who called. So once you educate, and once we have police officers next to them as their buddies, as their soccer mates, as their, people who are telling stories, sharing food, which is what my Project USA has been doing throughout this time, and we are resuming this program. So we are going to resume our Friday nights now. We are resuming several other activities that we used to do before pandemic. I am very confident that you will see a huge difference within weeks, not even months. Within weeks you will see this.
And Chief Potts, just to hear a community member like Zerka, who's really on the ground doing that work, to hear that she's happy with the job that you guys are doing, it must make you feel good that you're making an impact.
Absolutely. It drives why we do it. This is the reason why we do what we do. When we can show that we're impactful, and we have leadership within a community saying, trust them, they are the good guys. This makes our job easier, but it also makes the community safer. And so this is a win for us.
And I want to add something that from day one, I always said that I want to present Wedgwood as a model community where police officers and community members, young people and elderly can work together to make a safer neighborhood. And I have received a lot of, backfire also from people who didn't like it. And they said, why in the world in your program we are seeing police officers? Some people get offended, very offended. But at the end of the day, there is no other solution for us to work as one community together as partners. And these young people, if we want to even recruit police officers from this community, how are we going to do that if we will keep saying that police officers are bad? We have an excellent example in Commander Highland. He became the uncle, grandpa of this community. Kids would love to have him around. Same thing we have, Officer Taylor has been around for many long time. Sergeant Brophy has been here. Our children know them by name. They run toward them when they see them, and this is what you need. and we're going to grow that. I am committed that we can do it without saying that, if there are somebody is doing the wrong job, of course we're going to keep them accountable. Of course we're going to talk about it, but we just cannot make all our officers enemies and then think that we are going to build a safer neighborhood. It's not going to happen. And our officers work very hard. They put their lives also in danger. We just need to build those bridges, and we need to make sure that we both know each other, learn from each other, and do a better job.
And Chief Potts, I know that's what it's about, kind of building those bridges, so to speak.
Absolutely. I think she said it the best. It's a unity of all of us working together to make sure that this community is safe. And I think